Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tardis Zone. How are you all? Big happy birthday to the one and only Daniel, the legend, Scottish Davros. And obviously, Lee had his birthday as well, so we want to wish him a happy birthday. I'm trying. I'm gonna see if I can get the two of them on actually, for a birthday stream, just to talk and stuff like that. But look, okay, so you can see the headline from the video. I have had messages privately saying that I shouldn't actually do this because it could backfire on me. Um, and genuine friends that are worried that uh, this might cause some drama, right? Uh, so my response has been, I don't care. I'm not afraid of these people. And, if I see something that needs to be spoke about, as you know, it doesn't matter what side of the argument you're on. I've said it. If I see something that needs to be spoke about, I will speak about it. So before I start this video, I want to make clear that I'm not having a go at the person that's made the comment. I just find the comment a bit ridiculous. And I will read it out to you. And I want to hear what you guys have to think. I seriously disagree with this. Now, listen, I know Twitter is a platform for different opinions, but this is not an opinion in my opinion. Um, I think this is the usual rhetoric from a certain minority within the fandom menace that no matter what happens, no matter what's done, they're never going to be happy. And this is why I want to just talk about this. And again, I find it quite strange. The Fandom Menace is a Star Wars kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying that they don't branch out into other franchises, but you don't, obviously, I've got my favorite YouTubers that speak Doctor Who, like Gary from Neurotic. I would listen to him all day talking about Doctor Who. I've no problem with him. And I've no problem with the majority of the fandom menace. They don't do me any harm, and I don't do them any harm. But I'm not going to sit back and because the J bots are trying to set a narrative in the fandom. I'm not going to let these guys do the same either. This is our fandom, right? If you don't like the show and you haven't liked the current era, that's fine. We haven't either. But when I read this out to you, the first thing I said, no, I disagree with you. So I'll read it out. Right, I'm not going to put it up on screen because, as I said, I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm just here to. I want to hear what your opinions are in the chat. There's already been a bit of a reaction to it on Twitter, right? So I'll read it out to you. And as I said, you know me. I've said it from day one, right? No matter what side of the argument you're on, if I see something that sticks out and I believe warrants a response, I'm going to do that. And I've never shied away from that, and I never will. Right? That's the difference between me and most people on YouTube. They will compromise their own opinions, right? Just to follow a narrative. Whereas I don't do that. I don't do that. I say it as it is. It still is my opinion, of course. But listen to this, because to me this is just absolute bullshit. To be quite honest with you, I'm just going to call it out as it is. It's bullshit, right? And I'll read the tweet for you, right? Hold on, just bear with me for a second. I just had a burger there, that's why I was a bit late. And I've just cleaned up the sit room, and it's lovely and clean now for these people to come in and have a look at the apartment, because we have to get some work done. So where is this tweet? Here we go. Where is it? Right, he's ready for this? Here we go. Confession. I never really liked the RTD era of Doctor Who. Parts were good, but overall it was uncreative. I don't have high hopes for the future of the show, even if Chibnall's stuff gets retconned. He can't make it so it never aired. I'll stick with the classic series. Now, while that is an opinion, and fair enough, you're entitled to that opinion, I have to disagree with you. I have to disagree with you. And I would actually even argue the point that we know that the budget for Classic Who was very, very low, right? And they had to get creative, right? But if you look at the show in 2005 and see what RTD actually produced, right? I would say that he was more creative than the Classic team because, everything is more expensive now and RTD had a limited budget, right? Now, another thing I would say, how can you say that a show is uncreative, right? When it started off in 2005 and it's still here today. Now, I just want to say something, right? If you're talking about story-wise, I would have to disagree with you there as well. Rose is the first episode. Is it the greatest episode? Not particularly, but it has its moments. Then you go to the second episode, which is the end of the world. You talk about it not being creative. Look at all the different monsters and villains that were there. We literally had skin on a slab in Lady Cassandra, and we had other aliens. To claim that it was uncreative is I'm sorry, I disagree. But I think this is just look. I can already see it because then the second part says, I don't have high hopes for the future of the show, and even if Chibnall's stuff gets retconned, he can't make it so it never aired, right? So we do know, right, and I'm not going to deny this. We do know that there are some fans that are not going to be able to move past the timeless child. Now, listen, I don't have a problem with that, and I really don't, right? I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to start this nonsense, he can't make it so it never aired. Listen, if you don't want to join in with RTD too, that's your right, and it's fine. But don't start now with this narrative and try ruin it for everybody else that has decided that they will ignore what Chibs did. Now, here's another thing, and I can counter your argument, actually, by the way. It's a very, very easy one to counter. He can't make it so it never aired, even if Chibnall retcon. Well, I'll bring you back to the Doctor Who movie. Right? Now, the Doctor Who movie is very divisive in the fandom. Right? Because we got this whole half-human stuff and we've got a little bit of romance. And that stuff, and that movie was very divisive. But fans moved on and came back for 2005. Yeah, and then obviously during the Moffat era, McGann's Doctor was canonized basically in The Night of the Doctor. So, it aired. It's the end of the day. It aired. Right? You can ignore it in your own head canon. And that's fair enough because a lot of fans have done that with the movie. But don't be coming out now before RTD2 even takes over the job and set this narrative in the fandom that, he can't make it so it aired. It's not up to RTD to retcon what Chibnall did anyway. And even if Chibnall retcons it, you said, well, RTD can't make it that he never wrote it. That's just stupid. That's not even a valid argument. And I'm sorry, a creative. Season 1, we had the whole Bad Wolf plot line while we had other plots going on in Series 1. In Series 2, we had the whole Torchwood plot line, if you remember, while we had other plots going on in the show, right? In Season 3, it was Yana. Yeah, you are not alone. Okay, that was that plot line, and there was other stuff going on, right? And then Series 4, we had Rose returning while all of that other stuff was going on. Now, if you look at the budget that that RTD had to work with in relation to Moffat and Chibnall, I would argue and say that RTD's era was more creative than the eras from Moffat and Chibnall, because he had the least amount of money to work with, right? So I just don't get this, and I don't want this to happen, because I don't want to do this, but I will if I have to. I don't want to have to come out and stand up against this kind of rhetoric, because, there's a lot of fans that are excited for RTD, and there seems to be people determined within the fandom and in other fandoms to bring us down, right? Because we're looking forward to it. At the end of the day, right, some fans won't be able to move on, and that's sad. But I think these fans don't realise you will be replaced. You will be replaced, because there are fans that actually didn't watch any of Jodie Whittaker's era at all, and they'll come back because RTD is coming back. So, I mean, look, all this, I think it's all petty. I cannot look. I understand that the timeless child. I was devastated. People have seen my reaction, right? I was devastated. But the thing about it is, I love Doctor Who. I'm not going to stop loving Doctor Who because a showrunner decided to do something that I didn't agree with, right? If a new showrunner comes in and ignores it and does his own thing, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I would ideally, like a lot of fans, like to see that thing retconned or thrown into a black hole. But it's not going to happen. Just like with the movie, it's not going to happen. So you need to stop with this rhetoric, because I'm actually sick and tired of it, to be quite honest with you. I don't look. We've already got the Jodie Whittaker fans, right? They've ruined any enjoyment we got out of this fandom for 5 years, and I'm not gonna let people out there ruin our chance of enjoying this next era because of their rhetoric, and telling fans, and basically, because it will happen eventually, right? It will be telling fans they shouldn't watch, they should boycott until Chibnall retcons the Timeless Child. But that's never going to happen. They never retconned the sequel trilogy in Star Wars. It was never going to happen, right? I think these people don't realize, whether we like these franchises or not, they do have a certain amount of support, right? And you retcon them, there's going to be absolutely murder in this fandom, right? So they'll just ignore it. No, us this in any way connected to the latest rumor, if the 14th Doctor, proof of the pudding. Look, I've seen some videos from some of the YouTubers out there that do these type of rumors. I wouldn't be listening to them. I mean, every video seems to be, they're casting a woman. Like, they're just so obsessed, right? I mean, even the executive producer has come out today, if I'm correct, in saying, someone sent me an article. Production of Doctor Who starts later this year. So they haven't even gone into production, right? Which means if they haven't gone into production, it means then that maybe the Doctor hasn't been even cast yet. So all of these YouTubers that are claiming that they know who the Doctor is, don't believe anything until you hear anything official. I've told you from day one anyway. Even when I put out stuff, what do I always say to you? Wait until it's made official. And if I'm vindicated, I'm vindicated. If I'm not, I'm not. Right? But that's the way I go about it. And it's the way I've always gone about it. And considering that I probably have the best hit rate in the Doctor Who fandom when it comes to rumours, I think I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing, That's what I mean, Rachel. You know what I mean? If the show is better than it was when he brought it back the first time, right? I mean, and he's going to do something different with it. Look, I have to be careful here, right? But I genuinely do understand where some fans are coming from, because I was like that original myself. I wasn't gonna watch the new era, right? No matter who was coming in, because I did when we before I'd begin before I had been given the information that RTD was coming back, right? There was hints of other people, and there was even talk of it being cancelled, right? I wasn't too keen, to be quite honest with you. But when I heard RTD and I found out before everybody else did, and then we reported on it, obviously, I was delighted. Now, when it was confirmed, we all celebrated as if it was the best thing since sliced bread, right? Everybody forgot about the Timeless Child then. But now it's coming back to this again. It's coming back to this again. And look, I understand if some of you can't move on, but please don't ruin it for everybody else, right? Don't ruin it for everybody else. If you don't like the Chris Chibnall era, fine. I didn't like the Chris Chibnall era either. I didn't like what he did, right? But this whole uncreative thing has really actually rubbed me up the wrong way. To claim that RTD was uncreative, but it was good in some parts, is absolute rubbish, right? With the budget that he had, right? If Doctor Who was more expensive to make in 2005 than it was in 1963, right? So you look at the CGI and all that that studio produced for RTD, and the limited budget that they had, and the monsters that they created, and the villains that they created, right? And the stories then that RTD was actually producing, I would go as far as to say that the new Who era was just as creative as the classic era. And that's not taking anything away from the classic era, by the way. What I'm trying to say is you cannot say that RTD's era was uncreative, because it was creative, right? It was something fresh. It was something new. It was a different take on the show. It was a reboot, so it was a different take on the show, right? And it was so uncreative, as some people in the chat said, and even on Twitter. Well, then why did it get 4 seasons on the RTD and then his specials, and then why was it carried on then with Stephen Moffat? I mean, at the height of the 50th anniversary, Doctor Who was a powerhouse, right? If it was so uncreative, it wouldn't have been that, because audiences are not stupid. Audience will see through crap writing, crap effects, and crap bloody villains, right? They've seen through the Chris Chibnall era. Yeah? So I'm sorry, I have to disagree. I have to disagree. And as I said, this is not having a go. I'm not having a go. I originally was going to come on and have a big rant, but there's no point, right? At the end of the day, I do disagree with that comment. I think it was creative. It spanned 4 seasons, and how many specials did he give us then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 specials, was it? Something like that. And I mean, that was after Serious Farm talking about. But I just don't know what's going on with fandom right now. I mean, you just can't seem to please anybody these days. It's just, and listen, I'm a classic era fan, by the way, right? I'm watching this show since the 1980s. Okay, I was a kid during the 1980s. My dad was a Doctor Who fan, and he introduced me to the show, and that's how I found out about Doctor Who. So I am a classic era fan, right? And I love the classic era, and I love how creative they were with a limited budget. But so did RTD. He had a limited budget. And he even says in an interview himself, right, that there were some stories that he had to change in Series 1 because he didn't have the budget to create the stories and the villains or whatever he wanted to do. So he made do with what he had. BBC have seriously underfunded this show for decades. For decades. Right? Now, as each showrunner came along, they got a little bit more money. Moffat got more money than RTD. And then Chris Chibnall, he got the most money the whole lot of put together. He got the biggest budget, and look what he created, right? But the claim that RTD, no, I'm sorry, I disagree. It's at the because I'm an RTD fanboy. Obviously, you know that. I'm not gonna lie, right? I am an RTD fanboy. I think he's a god, to be quite honest. He's the GOAT when it comes to Doctor Who, right? His talent of writing is just unbelievable. He's just unbelievable. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know why there has to be negativity all the time. I get it. You don't like the timeless child, right? But don't ruin it for other people who want to move on and enjoy the next era. It's not fucking fair. It's not fair. Hang on. Right, we got a super chat there. So hold on. We'll put it up on the screen there. And it's from Douglas Nelson. And he says, one could say they don't like what RTD created, but they can't argue he was uncreative. I don't know what RTD's new era will be, but he's earned the right to be given a chance. You know what? I couldn't have said it better myself, Douglas. I couldn't have said it better myself. That is absolutely spot on. Spot on. You know, look, as I said, fair enough. If you don't like what RTD created, that's fine. But to say that he was uncreative, no, I'm sorry. That is absolutely not right. And the evidence backs it up. And the evidence is that the show is still here. If he was so uncreative, this show wouldn't be still around today for Chris Chibnall to destroy it. Rachel says the RTD era was my childhood, so I'm definitely a fan. Exactly. You know, look at who remembers Primeval. That didn't. Yeah, no, went up against Doctor Who. I thought ITV made a big mistake there. That show had a lot of potential as well, actually. Um, and they did put it up against Doctor Who, which was the biggest mistake. You know, you could have had one show on ITV and the other one Doctor Who on BBC, and have either one of them start before the other, and then show the other, and then maybe ratings of both shows would have done well. In 2025, New Who will be 20 years old. That's quite an achievement. Exactly, and you wouldn't get there if it wasn't for RTD in the first place. You know, he deserves a lot of credit. And as I said, I'm not having a go at anybody here. I'm sincerely not, but I just you've got to let go. You've got to let go, man. If you're sticking with the classic era, that's fine. That's fine. Stick with the classic era, but don't ruin it for other fans who want to move on and who want to give RTD a chance. Because I'll say this: RTD should be given a chance. He shouldn't be punished for what Chris Chibnall done. He shouldn't. He shouldn't. And even the staunchest supporters of getting rid of the timeless child, likely at the time, he softened his position on it a little bit, as you all know. He's willing to give RTD a chance to see what happens, right? And there's others out there that were just as staunch as himself, like myself at first. I said it, unless it's retconned, I'm not coming back. But as soon as I heard RTD was coming back, and then it was announced, I was on board. I was on board because of what he did in 2005. Listen, in 2004, I was walking through the streets of Dublin and I happened to go into a shopping mall. And just to let you know, I was at a very low ebb in my life. And let's just say I was going into this shopping mall for one last bit of, how do I put it? One last hurrah as such, because I wanted to kill myself. And I remember going into PC World and seeing the TVs on. And on one of the TVs, I saw the announcement that Doctor Who was coming back. All right. I walked out of that shopping mall, and all of the negativity that I had in my head of wanting to end my life had ebbed away, because I wanted to see Doctor Who back on screen. So I basically RTD saved me life. I wouldn't be here talking to you now if it wasn't for him. If that announcement hadn't have been made, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys now. I'd be 6 feet under. So I have that connection towards him. I owe him, believe it or not. Now I know he would disagree, but I do. I owe him, and that's why I'm willing to give him another chance, because he saved me life. Doctor Who saved me life. And you know what? When I saw those with the titles for the first time, I actually broke down. And when I watched Rose and that speech, I broke down at that speech as well. But I knew Doctor Who was back. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I had this positive outlook. And I've never looked back since. So RTD is the one. And I might sound a bit dramatic to you guys, but you've got to understand my state of mind at the time. I was really at a low ebb in my life. I felt worthless, felt like that. You know, nobody wanted me around. And then I saw this little thing on the TV, RTD being interviewed on BBC News, and that's what saved me life. I walked out of that shopping mall. I went home, and I was just waiting for any news to come out about Doctor Who. And then eventually it aired, and I remember, and I still have me original box set that I got, the Tardis one. If you ever got the Series 5 or Series 1 2005 version, I actually got the one that's in the shape of a TARDIS proper, not the flat ones, but the proper TARDIS shape. I still have it to this day. But he did that for me, and then he gave me something that I really, really enjoyed. See, this is what these people don't understand about me. I have such an emotional connection to this show because it did save me life. And this is why I've been so vocal about what's been happening to it. And that's why I took all the shit that I took for 5 years. Listen, if this was old Noel, if this was 2004 Noel taking that abuse that I took, well, I think we all know where that would end, right? But this show gave me confidence. This show gave me my life back. And to suggest that it was uncreative is a joke to me. I'm sorry for getting a bit heavy, but you know me, you guys know me. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I shoot straight from the mouth, or the hip, as they say, and I don't shy away from telling people the experiences that I had during my life. It wasn't a very happy time. And then again, because of Doctor Who, I met Cheryl and we got married. So this show has done a lot for me personally, a lot for me. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt. I will give him another chance because he did it so well first time round, and I do believe that he will not disappoint us. And Peter is saying, cheer up, it's not gone down the plug hole yet. I know it's not. I'm grand. Trust me, I'm okay. I'm just trying to explain to you because just in case there's new people here that don't understand where I'm coming from, right? And why this show means the world to me and why I've been very vocal about its downfall. It's just a little insight to my life and the things that were going on in it at the time. Um, as a Third Doctor fan, I loved seeing the Autons back in Rose. Exactly, so did I. So did I. And that scene with Clive when Rose goes to see Clive in the shed and they're, he's showing her all these things from past history and stuff. Man, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps. I was reliving my childhood all over again. And it's thanks to him. So I will give RTD a chance. And it's the only look at. I will say this: if it was any other person taking over, I'd be gone. But because it's RTD, he deserves. He deserves another. He deserves the benefit of the doubt, and he deserves another chance to show us what he can do. And that's why I'll watch. Rachel says, I'm watching Rose now and I'm at the Clive saying, yeah, and then poor Clive dies. I was actually pissed with RTD for that though, because Clive was such a nice bloke. I know Nikki was saying that it could be some weirdo on the internet and all of that, but Clive was nice, and then he ends up getting killed in front of his wife and his kid, actually. Um, but then when I seen the trailer then for the end of the world, I was like, holy shit. Couldn't wait. I hope it's not a third reboot, etc. Well, I don't know yet, Peter. See, there's lots of stuff flying about right now. We will just have to wait and see what he does, won't we? But it's exciting. It's exciting. RTD gave us 4 great years. I think he has definitely earned another go around, says Moons of Madness. I agree. I agree. It's just I just hope that certain members of this fandom though that don't like the Timeless Child, that have been very critical like myself, don't suddenly, you know, take it out on RTD and not watch. Now I know some won't, and that's fair enough. But I just hope it doesn't become this big thing in the fandom where YouTubers are encouraging people not to watch RTD unless he retcons the Timeless Child, because I think that would be such a shame. It would. You'd be punishing RTD out of spite, basically. Yeah, well, they do have his Dark Materials and other shows like that, Broken Gazamania. So I know the speculation within the Doctor Who fandom. They think that it's the 14th Doctor filming or something, but I think they're jumping the gun. I mean, Jane has actually even come out herself and said they're going into production later on this year. So they haven't even gone into production yet. Um, so I can't see where they would be filming something if they haven't started production, because that's what that means. Like, so they're not filming right now. So I don't know what they're doing, but Bad Wolf Studios do have other shows on their slate. So they're probably filming one of them, and people are getting confused because Jane has actually come out herself and said that they haven't went into production. Wasn't it a newer female? Yeah, again, another woman doctor that they keep, because they're obsessed. They're obsessed. They're trying. The other side are trying to push a female doctor narrative again. To kind of justify this one and validate this doctor. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know. Um, exactly, Kev. Exactly. Do you consider people like Ballstrick an erratic part of the Fandom Menace, or is the Fandom Menace the complete opposite of them? No, I don't. I don't class Ballstrick or Neurotic as Fandom Menace. I made it very clear that I still watch Gary and I still watch Ballstrick's videos. I'm actually, I haven't spoke to Ballstrick now in a while, but me and Ballstrick are actually very close. Gary shoots me the odd message on DMs on Twitter. So no, I have huge respect for those two. But there are some within the Fandom Menace, not them, but there are some within the Fandom Menace that I do believe that are trying to start a narrative, and I'm gonna call it out, just like I call out the other side for the narrative about this female doctor. I have huge respect for Gary. Gary's done a lot for this channel, and so has Ballstrick. And I would never turn me back on those two lads, no matter what. I've even been on Twitter and defended those two guys, and I would defend those two guys to my last breath because I know those two guys personally, and the stuff that's said about them is untrue. But there are some within that Fandom Menace, right, the wider Fandom Menace, that are, I have to say, unfortunately, I would consider toxic, and I'll leave it there. I won't go too far, but let's just say I'm not a fan of certain people within the fandom. But Ballstrick, I love him. He's the when I had me dark days on Twitter. Um, himself, Lee, and even Gary were there for me. So no, I don't have a bad word to say about them. Gary knows how I feel about him and his channel. I think he's still one of the best streamers out there. I don't particularly like some of the guests that he brings on, and I'll be honest about that. But when he does a stream, I watch. When Ballstrick does a stream, whenever he does a stream, and whenever he comes fully out of retirement, I'll be there supporting them because they have supported me. Um, yeah, it's just the Fandom Menace is just kind of like it's kind of like the LGBTQ plus community kind of thing. It's a wider thing, and it involves different parts. If you get what I'm saying, but there are certain individuals within it that I really do support, and there are some that I wouldn't give the steam at me piss, basically. Um, and Kev, Doctor Who fan man says, as we support you and all. Listen, Kev, I really appreciate that. That comment seriously humbles me. Um, I'm just, I keep saying it every few months or so. It still does boggle the mind that everybody comes here and listens to an Irishman rant and rave about Doctor Who. I don't always rant and rave, as you know, but um, it does humble me. So I have to thank you all because it does mean the world to me. Um, do you ever talk to heel versus babyface? I've had Az on the channel. I've had Gary on the channel. I've had a few. I've had Comics Division on the channel. Um, who else have I had on the channel? We even had Tom and Andre from Midnight's Edge. As I said, there are some people out there that I do support. But there are people like just what Bad Wolf 66 have mentioned that I can't stand. Right? And there's reasons for that, but I've already explained those reasons before. But basically, I don't like anybody that goes around lying to a fandom for a few years saying that certain things are going to be retconned and then it doesn't happen, and then try to change the narrative then when they get called out for it. And then that same person now starting to spread some false Doctor Who rumors, which are untrue, by the way. So, I have no problem calling anybody out. I don't care how big or small you are, right? That's that. I don't listen. At the end of the day, some of these, the way some of them, oh, you can't say anything about him, and you can't say anything about her, or you can't do this. I can do whatever the hell I want. And if I want to call out an individual, I'll call out an individual, and I don't care how big or small they are, as I said, right? If I think they're talking bullshit or they're trying to change a narrative or start a narrative, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call it out. Don't care who you are. Sent as a parcel, it arrived. Gary's parcel hasn't. Yeah, I got your parcel as well. The hamper, by the way, that you sent myself and Cheryl. It was up. Do you know what, Ian? It was bleeding lovely, man. We got this. We got all different types of things. We got some relishes, some lovely cheese. We got some lovely energy bars, and we got some lovely slices of meat and stuff like that. So I have to say, Ian, thank you very much, Ian Peter Davison. Thank you. Really appreciate it. I have to say, man, you're one of these lads, man. You're unbelievable. Your support as well is unbelievable. But you go way beyond and out your way, to send these little packages, and I really do appreciate everything that you've sent us. So I just want to make that clear. And I've said it to you plenty of times, but I'll say it publicly. Want to thank you for everything that you have sent their way. Um, and you got Ted some lovely stuff as well. So look, really appreciate it. And I do appreciate the support. Uh, yeah, but yeah, I would say take it with a big grain of salt, because that's an old rumor that he's actually reporting. It's an old rumor that was flying around in the fandom months ago. It's nothing new. I'm not saying it's probably him, but whoever is sending them leaks is pulling his leg. Is pulling his leg. I mean, his last Doctor Who video was so ridiculous. I burst out laughing. To claim that Taiwan was stopping Doctor Who from being shown in China because of Tolson Cole is absolutely ridiculous. And I actually debunked that rumor. The reason why Doctor Who hasn't been shown in China is because it's a time travel show. And the Chinese film board, or the censorship board, are very particular on what shows they let be aired over there, and especially if it comes to time travel, because if it doesn't fit in the narrative within the Chinese state government, they won't allow the show to be shown over there. So it's nothing to do with Taiwan, and it had nothing to do with Tolson Cole. But this is the narrative that was thrown out there. And don't get me wrong, we know that that country, some within that country are very racist against certain minorities and stuff like that. We know that, right? But to claim that Taiwan stopped the show because of two characters that happen to be non-white is absolutely ridiculous. Is absolutely ridiculous. Right? It's ridiculous. That would have been very interesting, actually, what eyebrow too for David Tennant. But you know what? With David Tennant, I can understand why he left. He gave us 5 years. He gave us 5 years, and he did his dues. He did his dues, and he did, and you know what? He came back for the 50th, and his popularity. He's still as popular as ever, and he's so popular, in fact, that it's a shoe in that he's back for the 60th. I mean, it's the worst kept secret in the fucking industry right now. We know he's coming back for the bleeding 60th. But he wouldn't be coming back if he wasn't popular. By the way, Radio Times actually did put up an interesting. I forgot to mention this actually. Radio Times put up a poll, and they asked, "Would you like to see David Tennant return, right, or would you like to see a new Doctor?" So Radio Times put that up, so I don't know if it's still going. But if you just want to vote in that, please do. But it's very interesting that Radio Times are asking if we want David Tennant back. We got another super chat from Ian Peter Davison, an Australian, $25 super chat, and prayer emoji. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it, Ian. Thank you. You're a ledge. You're a ledge. David Tennant wished to become a little devil. Yeah, just keep David Tennant in for an eternity. I know. Look, the show has to move on and change. Look, I would love to see. He'll be back for the 60th, but after that, I do agree with fans even on the other side that say that, for Series 14 it should be a new Doctor, and I do agree with that personally. Unless RTD was doing something mad and it made sense, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Davis had his time apart from the odd special. Exactly. Sometimes when I go back and watch all Doctor Who from the early 2000s, and then I look at Doctor Who now, my goodness, has it become an echo of its former glory? Well, the latest ratings show the 7 day consolidated figures came in and they're down again from the consolidated figures from Eve of the Daleks with a AI of 76. So it's actually pretty dire. It's bad. Um, and you will have the usual spin. You'll have the usual spin from the usual suspects, but at the end of the day, you know, they've lost all credibility. The facts back up everything that we said from day one. We told everybody that this was going to happen as well. Nobody believed us. But the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the rankings and the evidence. 10 million people altogether have disappeared. 10 million people from Jodie Whittaker's first episode to this latest episode. 10 million people. 10. And TV habits have changed. So, as I said, and I'll keep saying this to these fans, right? If TV habits have changed, then right, where's the 10 million people gone? When are they gonna watch Jodie Whittaker's era? Are they gonna watch when it's completely done? Are they gonna watch in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 15 years' time? And by the way, some people make the argument that all the ratings are great, because and you can't judge 2005 and all era because it wasn't on iPlayer and all of this other rubbish, and it wasn't this, that, and the other. Well, if it was right, RTD's era would have done even better, and that's the thing. I think RTD's era would have even done even better if there was more ways of watching the show. Trust me. So I think that argument is actually pretty lame. It's been a long 5 years. Well, look, we're coming to the end of it now. We're coming to the end of it now. So we'll just see what he does. But I'll give him a season because he deserves that. And we'll see what he does. And I tell you, if I fall in love with Doctor Who all over again, well, then I'll even know him I'll even know him more. I might send him a thank you now. Let me see. Noel, any idea when an announcement of the new Doctor will be known? Well, the official BBC article said when did Legend of the Sea Devils drop again? What was the date? Easter, wasn't it? Yeah, but what was the date? When did it air? Does anybody know the exact date when Legend of the Sea Devils dropped? Hold on, I'll check it now. Yeah, so it dropped on the 17th of April 2022, and we're on the 26th of April, so that's nearly a week. So if the BBC News article is true, well then there should be an announcement next week. And let me see, I'm just checking something real quick here. Right, you see, right. So the FA Cup final is not until May the 14th, and that's a Saturday, right? Now, according to the BBC article, an announcement should be made next week. So that would actually make a what, the 20, hold on. So the 17th, so we're on the Legend of the Sea Devils. So if it's the 17th and it's the 26th now, that's 11 days. So 11 days, and then we add another three, that's 14. So 11 days. So what day is it today? It's Monday, isn't it? Well, it's Tuesday now. So I'll say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would be 26, 27, 28, 29th. 29th. Mm. Do you know what? If you were to ask me if I was a betting man, I think. See, it's because of that BBC News article saying that there's going to be an announcement, which would mean the announcement will be next week sometime. But if they haven't gone into production yet, and the FA Cup final is, as I said, the FA Cup final was, what did I say the FA Cup final was again? FA Cup final 2022. The FA Cup final is on the 14th of May. Now, the FA Cup final will be watched by millions of people on the 14th of May. So if the BBC News article didn't say that there'll be an announcement in the next couple of weeks, then I would say I think the FA Cup final would be the perfect opportunity to announce a new doctor. So yeah, I don't see. This is the thing. BBC is saying one thing, and then obviously, if you look to me, the FA Cup's final, the FA Cup's final makes more sense because if you're trying to generate hype, right, and you want your maximum audience watching, then the FA Cup final would be the perfect opportunity to announce a new doctor or give us a reveal trailer or whatever he's going to do this time to introduce us to the new doctor. But it's because of that BBC News article where they actually said at the end of the Chris Chibnall interview, wasn't it, where expect an announcement on the new doctor in a couple of weeks, and that was a week ago. So if they're staying on course, well, then the announcement's going to be made next week. But I don't think that makes any sense because is there anything big happening next week? Is there any big major things happening next week? Any holidays or big sporting events or major event happening? They could do it during well, I know the Crucible, the snooker is on right now, and they're going into this is the final week now. Oh no, they're not. They could do. Oh. Yeah. They actually could do it. They actually could do it this week. They actually could do it this week because the snooker final, the World Championship, is on the last couple of weeks, and we're in the final week of it now. And that final is watched by millions on the BBC. So yeah, could happen. It could happen, but I'm being honest. If I were RTD, I'd wait until the FA Cup final. But they could do it at the Crucible. I don't think I would not. Do you know what? I would agree with you there, the legend of the travelling Tardis, but I don't think RTD can afford to do that. To be quite honest with you, considering the impact that this era has had. Because look at, as I said, I personally don't care if there are people out there that are fans of this era or not. Right? If you look at the audience score, you look at the AI, you look at the consolidated and the overnights. Um, it's pretty bad. And I don't think he can take that gamble of not telling us who the doctor is. I think he needs to generate hype. So that announcement can't come quick enough, in my opinion. I say the sooner the better, to be quite honest with you, because I think he needs to start generating hype now. So I don't know. I don't know. Well, here's the thing, right? People need to understand Doctor Who is under Bad Wolf Productions right now. So even if RTD steps down as showrunner, he's going to be in the background because he's one of the bosses of Bad Wolf Studios, right? Along with Sony, he's still one of the bosses, so he'll have a lot of say. And trust me, if he only does a couple of seasons, you can guarantee that he'll promote from within inside his crew. So I'm not worried, actually. I have to say I'm not worried. But I can understand where some people might be. Um, and then there's people trying to speculate that we actually might have something from Bad Wolf this Christmas, even though Jane has come out herself and said they're not going into production until later this year. Apparently, a certain Mr. Reviews out there is thinking that we're going to get something from Bad Wolf Studios for Christmas. But you see, here's the thing. Why would Bad Wolf Studios be giving us something for Christmas, right? When the centenary has just finished, it wouldn't make sense. No, no, no. I highly doubt that that's going to happen. If it does, don't get me wrong, I'd love a Christmas special. I would love one. What a way to start off. What Christmas special before the 60th? Bring it on, I say, but I don't see it happening. What's the odds it's a female? I don't, listen, seriously, I don't know. No, 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 no. Yeah, I've seen that rumor by you. No, no, no. They haven't. No, if they haven't gone into production yet, right, and they're not going into production later this year, well then, and RTD did say before Christmas that they were only doing auditions. Is the audition? Is the auditions over now? Maybe. Does he have an idea who his doctor is? Probably. But you see, just because they seen some woman outside a certain area, they automatically think that it's for Doctor Who. Remember, Bad Wolf Productions have loads of shows on the books. So just because they see a particular actress doesn't mean that it's for Doctor Who. But they'll jump the gun because they're trying to force this female doctor narrative because they want to validate Jodie Whittaker's era. We'll just have to wait and see. But all the indicators I'm getting, and all the indicators off other people that do source news and have been right in the past, the indication that we're getting and the rumors that we've received suggest that he is casting a man for the role. And I think people actually need to. I forgot to say this the last stream, but I'm gonna put something to you actually. Well, I want you to think about this logically, right? Think about it, right? So Chris Chibnall brings in the first female doctor, right? It spectacularly fails. Yeah. Do you honestly think RTD would come in then? Even now, they're pals, by the way. I just want to make it clear. RTD, Stephen Moffat, and Chris Chibnall are pals, right? So think about this logically, right? So Chris Chibnall brings in a female doctor and it fails. Do you think RTD is going to come in then and cast a female doctor, basically then undermining his mate? Because he'll do a better job. We know that for a fact. He'll do better than what Chris Chibnall did with a female doctor, right? Mightn't necessarily agree with a female doctor, but he'd do a better job. Do you honestly think that RTD would do something like that? He would cast another woman, and then obviously then he would do it better than what Chris Chibnall did, and then he'd be exposed. Do you really think they do that? This is why I don't think this female doctor thing is even true. And as I said, I've been given information which I spoke about on this channel ages ago, months ago. Even people are talking, even the David Tennant stuff. Remember the guest that I had on this channel? Do you remember we spoke about it? Right, DT, right? His initials were given, right? But everybody in the chat knew exactly what we were talking about. David Tennant, right? We got that spot on, and the media are reporting on it now, right? I don't think he's gonna do a female doctor because I don't think because if he did it better, it would be embarrassing for Chibnall, right? If it already hasn't ruined his career this era, that would certainly ruin it because it would expose everything that Chris Chibnall did wrong. So that's why I don't think the next doctor is a woman. I don't think they can afford to do it either. Chris Chibnall needs to RTD needs to hit the ground running. He needs to do something radical. Bringing in another woman is not radical, you know. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it. I really don't. I really don't see it. And I think these fans see this is the difference between me and them and us here, right? Us here and them, right? We could see the logic and the logic and stuff like that. They can't. They're so hyper focused on a female doctor. They can't see all the other stuff around them. They've got to look at all of this, right? RT, there's no way. I don't think he's gonna. I honestly do believe he's gonna cast a man because he's not gonna want to show up his best friend and show him, well, you did a female doctor. Look, I'm gonna show you how you can do it better. It's not gonna happen. It's not going to happen. So they could do all their female doctor videos all they want and say it's a female doctor. I don't think it's going to happen. Because Chris Chibnall would be shown up by RTD straight away because he's a better writer. He understands the human condition better. He understands characters that he's writing. He understands how to develop a plot and subplots, by the way. And he's a very creative guy. This is why I obviously disagree with the headline where Fandom Menance supporter thinks that he's uncreative. I disagree. And I don't think he will bring in a woman. I'd be shocked. Don't get me wrong, I'd be shocked if he did. Right? But if anybody could pull off a female doctor and do it right, well then, if I had a choice between Chris Chibnall and RTD, I would choose RTD all day of the week. Look, we'll either know next week, or if I'm a betting man, as I said, the FA Cup final, which is in May. So, look, we're not far away from some sort of announcement. RTD will get a big billboard star for sure. Sony will make sure of it. See, this is the thing as well. I do agree with you. You know, some people are saying that they should bring in an unknown and stuff like that. I think we're gone past bringing in an unknown. Doctor Who's in such a state right now that I think you would need to bring in a big name to pull those viewers back in. So I agree with you, Kev. I've been saying that all along. That's why I wouldn't mind Michael Sheen when Hugh Grant's name was actually mentioned. And again, even though he's come out publicly, obviously he wasn't going to come out publicly and say, yeah, I am the Doctor. Obviously he's going to deny it. But another interesting thing, he didn't have to deny it in the first place. He could have kept stum. So I wouldn't be ruling out Hugh Grant either, by the way. Do you think about the cast of Sarah Jane Adventures, Luke, Clyde, Rennie and Maria, etc.? Well, it's sad that they're not going to. It's sad that they're not. Obviously, Elizabeth Sladen is not with us anymore. It is a pity that you couldn't get that little group together and maybe do a spin-off show with them. You know, that'd be a good idea. But again, there's a whole rumor that he's going to do this whole universe building thing, different shows and branch out and stuff like that. So you never know. They could turn up. I mean, we've already got bleeding Ace and Tegan coming back now to the Chris Chibnall era, and also obviously Katie Manning was asked if she was coming back, and she was very cryptic. And if people remember watching my channel, I says, don't be surprised if he brings back all of the old companions. Do you remember I said this when ages ago, months ago? I even said, don't be surprised if he brings back Ace and all of the other classic companions. And I even actually said as well, don't be surprised if he brings back Amy and Rory. And there's rumors about those two now. So a desperate attempt, one last desperate attempt by Chibnall. I could see the Sarah Jane Adventures cast older and maybe in Torchwood or Una. Yeah, but in fairness, I don't want Torchwood to come back if John Barrowman is not Captain Jack. I don't want Torchwood back if he's not in it. Torchwood is John Barrowman. It's his show. I know he stars with other people, but it's his show. So if you're not going to bring him back, then I don't want Torchwood. You know, Amy and Rory, how that's not possible? Surely, well, technically it is. It's a time travel show, and you've got to remember the flux destroyed this universe. Yeah, so it's possible. It's possible. No, do you think you would react if RTD did go ahead and cast a female doctor? Look, I wouldn't be happy about it. But I did say I'll give him a season, and I'll give him a season. Look, I do believe. Look, for me personally, the Doctor is a male role, but they went that direction with it. They got Jodie Whittaker in. I believe she was the worst actress to bring in for it. I still do believe you had to brought in a better actress. Maybe it would have been a different story, but you would have still had the same writing under Chibnall. So it's very hard to judge. But what I will say is this: if he does bring back another female doctor, I think he's kind of shooting himself in the foot, because this one hasn't worked out. And I remember an article that Whittaker did, not an article she did, an interview she did, and the headline of the article was, I thought I ruined Doctor Who for another woman." And of course, when I did a video on it and I put up a tweet reposting that, and I says, you have room for another woman. I think you've set the show back a few years, and I think you've made it impossible for another woman to come in and take over the role now because you were so poor, because you didn't do the research until it was too late. You slagged off the fans, long-term fans, mocked them in a stylist video as well, taking the piss out of them, and then did an interview for Series 12 before Series 12 dropped. And you actually acknowledged and referenced the Not My Doctors and poked fun at them as well, yourself and Mandip Gill. So, Jody didn't help the situation, let's just say. So, Fraser Hines should be back as Blake. Do you know what? That's the thing that has baffled me the most, Kev, about this. Fraser's still out there, right? He's looking well, right? Yeah, I just can't understand why he's never been brought back. You could bring him back, I would love to see RTD actually bring him back in his second run at this. I think he deserves it. I think Fraser Hines deserves another pop at it. He was the longest serving companion. Isn't that? Well, yeah, he was. He was the longest serving companion. I didn't like his ending. I didn't like the way his mind was wiped. That has always and still continues to rub me up the wrong way. Just like the Donna Noble one, that rubs me up the wrong way as well. I actually hated RTD for doing that, but I could understand why he did it. But that gutted me. The McGribbon Adventures now. I'd love it. If you got his memory back, I would love it. And then for him to do a show with him, I would love it. Or even bring him back as part of the main show. Do what they did with Sarah Jane. Have him in, bring him in an episode, and then have him then sprinkled through the era. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. What do you think about the theory that the traveling companion of the 13th Doctor will be the new Doctor? Bull. I've heard that rumor. Bull. Look, there's so many. There's so much. Look, I've never seen it this bad under any other era when it comes to leaks and spoilers. I think this era has been the worst for it, and I'll tell you why. It's because you got so many fans on the other side that were deliberately going into 4chan, Reddit, Gallifrey base, deliberately putting up fake leaks. So YouTube channels like myself will report on them, and then they could slag us off and say, oh, they're putting out fake, try get our videos taken down. Right? You have to be. Look, what I'm saying is, you can read all of this stuff if you want to, right? But what I would say is after you've read it all, just take it with a pinch of salt and let's see what they do. Rumors to the left of Noel, rumors to the right of him. LOL. Have a story where the Time Lords have the Doctor go on a mission and the Doctor picks a past companion and it's Jamie. Listen, man. I think there should be a serious call for Jamie to be brought back. I mean, you never know. Look, I hate Chibs, right? Really do. And I'm afraid of what he's going to do with Ace and Tegan. But I tell you, I would lose me shit completely if Jamie showed up, right? Just to see him again. I mean, I've got, obviously, Unknown 289 sent me a copy of Evil of the Daleks. And obviously Jamie is in that story. and he's brilliant, man. I love him as a companion. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, male companion that we got. I'd put Harry in there as well because I don't want to disrespect Harry Sullivan. I liked Harry Sullivan as well. And I'm not disrespecting Rory either. I did like Rory, but out of them all, I think Jamie was definitely the best male companion, in my opinion. Obviously, you will all have your own opinions on that. You will probably kill me for saying that, but there you go. That's my opinion. Purple Monster says, saw another theory that when the 13th Doctor split into three in the Flux finale, that was a sign of things to come. I would live. Well, listen, I came up with a theory 2 years ago, and everybody on this channel can back me up, and I'll even try and find that video again. But I actually did say when the Doctor originally regenerated into Jodie Whittaker's Doctor that the regeneration was so powerful that Whittaker's Doctor actually did splinter into different, and that's where we got the fugitive Doctor, and there was rumors of other Doctors to be making an appearance, and then she had to kind of put herself back together, sort of thing. Now that was a rumor that was flying around, if I remember, during series 11 and 12. Now, normally when rumors like that fly around, Chris Chibnall gets around to them eventually, because we reported on the Sea Devils during series 11, because they were supposed to even come back. They were supposed to come back for series 11, but like everything that Chris Chibnall does, he waits until the last minute. He'll have an idea to bring these in, then he'll change his mind. We eventually got the Sea Devils. Remember, this is this very same showrunner that said he'd never bring back the Daleks, but then did the Dalek trilogy, right? He's the very same man that said he didn't like the Weeping Angels or the Cybermen or whatever it was he was complaining about. He just didn't like Anton, to be quite honest with you. And he said he wasn't bringing these, that he was going to give us something new and fresh, which he did for Series 11, but it went down the pan. And then he gave us Series 12 a bit more of the familiar. And then that's how we got the Dalek special in between that, because he had to go back to the familiar. He needed to try win the audience back over. So here, I'll put a Dalek in. They'll all love the Dalek. They all love the Daleks, but he personally doesn't like them. They did. They were best mates as well, though, and I don't think Fraser Hines would mind me saying, but I think he was heartbroken when Troughton passed away. Um, you know, and God love him. I saw a recent. I was actually watching an old video on YouTube of a convention that he was at, where he was running around all over the place, and I think it was shortly after that he took, wasn't it a heart attack or something. The same man who attacked Pip and Jane Baker in the 80s, exactly. He does, but in fairness to him, and I will say this about him, he has said that he regrets all of that. And I think even I am harsh on him because of that, because of what he said to Pip and Jane Baker. But he has acknowledged that is embarrassing to him, and that he was, and we do have to be reminded, he was an actual kid at the time. He might look like an old man, but he was a kid at the time. So, to a certain extent, you can kind of forgive him to a certain extent. But still, when you hear the comments that he did make, and then you see what he actually produced, well, everything that you said to Pip and Jane Baker is actually exactly what you are giving about your era. Running down corridors, silly monsters like the Bating. Like, come on, Chibs. Come on. Yeah, Praxius was one episode that they were rumored to be in, but also what was that other awful episode? Um, what was it? What was it? It was Oh, I can't think of the episode because see that's how bad my memory is when it comes to this era. This era, I can hardly remember the names of half of the fucking episodes I've watched. Whereas I can name all the episodes of the RTD era off the back of my hand, and even the same with Moffat episodes. And we had a talking frog as well. Remember? Fuck's sake! And scary sheets. Yeah, and then we had a bloke with teeth on his face. And that villain would have been a great villain, actually. I'm pissed at him for that because if he hadn't have took off his mask, great looking villain, right? But if he actually had gave him more of a plot and story development, then when he came back for the finale, it would have made a lot more fucking sense. But it didn't. So that was a missed opportunity there. Yeah, it takes you away. Is that episode, Kev? It takes you away. Yeah, that was the one with the single father. He just recently lost his wife, and then Jodie Whittaker's doctor gives him a lecture on being a bad father. Like the man has gone through him out. He literally lost his wife, and you're giving him a lecture. Like, and that's what this era did, folks. It just lectured its audience, and obviously any man that was in it was lectured. Just give us a second, just 1 second there. Jesus. Oh, where is it? Come here. There she goes. There she goes again. Blah, 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 blah. She took the piss out of his name too. Took me right out of the story. Political correctness crap. Chibnall would fit right in with Star Trek Picard writers. Here, he'd probably be the best fucking writer on the bleeding show. Jesus Christ, that franchise. Look, I'm a Star Trek fan as well, but I don't talk about Star Trek because it's. I think I had a choice to make. Do I talk about the show that I love the most, or do I talk about the second show that I love the most? So I decided that I talk about Doctor Who, but I am a Trekkie. I always have been. Um, and this will shock a lot of you, or especially you new people that have joined the channel. But I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm a Trekkie. I have watched all the Star Wars movies from the original trilogy to the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy and Rogue One. And I've watched the Clone Wars as well. So I've watched a lot of Star Wars, but I am a Trekkie. But we did watch the fourth season of Picard, and that was torture. I haven't watched season two. I watched five. I think I got no, not 5 episodes into Discovery. I don't think I even got that far into Discovery, but I found Discovery very bad. To be quite honest, Lower Decks. Me and Lee tried to do a watch along on that. I think we only lasted 2 or 3 episodes. We couldn't take any more. And as for Star Trek Prodigy, I haven't watched it because Captain Janeway is one of my favorite captains. Now, I haven't heard any bad stuff said about it. If anybody has actually watched it, and please be honest with me, is Prodigy actually worth watching? Because I am a huge Captain Janeway fan. Listen, I love the original series of Star Trek. I love Next Generation, but I have a huge soft spot for Voyager. I really do. Believe it or not, I've watched the original series the most, but I think Voyager is second. Next Generation, not so much, even though that was my Trek because I grew up when that was actually out. That was my Trek. But you know, even still to this day, I don't know. There's something about Next Generation that there's just something about it that I could never really connect with as much as the others. So I prefer Voyager over the Next Generation, and I know that's controversial, right? I get it, right? I know Next Generation's the better show, right? But I connected more with Voyager. And Voyager did have a lot of filler episodes, but when they were on top of it, holy shit, we got some of the best Trek. Future's End. If you haven't seen that, or Year of Hell. Now, Year of Hell was supposed to be originally a whole season arc, and they decided to do a two-part. I don't know if it was because of budget constraints or something, but that pissed me off. But I do like Year of Hell Part 1 and 2, and as I said, Future's End Part 1 and 2. You had Shattered as well, which is another great bleeding story. And of course, it did produce some of the worst Trek as well. I won't lie about that. But I have a huge soft spot for Voyager, and I will defend Voyager, believe it or not. Doctor Who, then Trek is my second favorite. Exactly, that's exactly like me. Dark Frontier is the best Borg story. End of. I fucking agree with you. I agree. Oh, I want to watch Voyager. Listen, I binge watch. Cheryl will tell you, right? I do her head in because since 1995, when that show was in 1995, that show came out. Yeah, I think it was 1995. Someone can correct me. I'm pretty sure it was 1995. But from that time to now, I have binge watched Star Trek Voyager at least. I binge watch it twice a year, right? So I might binge it at the start of the year, watch it all the way to the end, and then just before Christmas, I'll watch it all again over the Christmas period, and I will binge watch the whole lot. But I do agree with you. There's some brilliant. Actually, I have to say some of the Borg stories in. I have to say Janeway got some, and our crew got some great Borg stories. But I do agree with you on that one. I think RTD should make hiring a new composer of one of his top priorities. Well, yeah, he has his composers for his different shows, so he might bring one of them in. Star Wars, the original, is my favorite film. Look, I'm going to say something controversial here. Well, it might not be, but I would argue that the original trilogy of Star Wars is are the best three movies. I think the prequel trilogy movies are rubbish. Personally, I thought Attack of the Clones was way too long. Revenge of the Sith. I like that one. I like that one, but I didn't like the Fandom Menace at all. But I thought those movies were pointless in the first place. No offense. I know there's a lore, there's books, and there's all that other canon, but I wish I had stayed there. Because then it opened up for the possible of a sequel trilogy, and we got the sequel, and I don't like the sequel trilogy. I do like Rogue One, but Rogue One was unnecessary. It was the movie that we didn't actually need. But I do like Rogue One, not gonna lie. I think Rogue One is probably Disney's best Star Wars movie. And the rest are rubbish. But the original trilogy for me, I think is untouchable. And I know people have their favorites out of the three movies, but I think that original trilogy is untouchable, and that's being made after that has actually been piss poor. Now I know I'll have all these diehard Star Wars fans. How dare you? How dare you? The prequel trilogy and this was good and that was. I don't. That's your opinion, and that's fine. But no, too much CGI. He relied too heavily on CGI, and I think actually you can get to see, you know, that George Lucas, yes, he did create this franchise, but he had his wife there for the original trilogy, if I'm correct. I don't know if he did have her for the prequel trilogy, but it kind of showed if you leave George Lucas to his own devices, some things don't make sense. He needs someone there to kind of tell him, oh, listen, George, maybe you should do this, that, and the other. Like his wife did when he did the original trilogy. But I shouldn't have said that about Star Wars because I'm probably going to get loads of fucking crap for that. But I don't care. It's my opinion. If people disagree with me, you're more than welcome to. I thought Capaldi's title sequence music was crap until I heard what Yeah Man did. Jodie Whittaker's. No, listen. I'm not going to change my mind on Peter Capaldi's theme because I don't like Whittaker's theme. Both are shy. Are you a fan of Indiana Jones? Do you know what? I should have done a Q&A. If you want to ask me a couple of questions, go ahead and I'll answer them before we finish, right? Are you a fan of Indiana? I am. And if you're going to ask me what my favorite Indiana Jones movie is, it's Raiders first. This is going to be probably a bit controversial for everybody, but it's Raiders first, The Last Crusade second, and Temple of Doom would be third. I don't talk about the other abomination, which is Crystal Skulls. Am I looking forward to Indiana Jones, the latest one? No, because Harrison Ford's about 90 years of age now. And I don't. And look, it's not because of what I've heard or Phoebe Waller-Bridge is this, that, and the other. It's not that. I'll still give it a go. I just think he's too old now to play Indiana Jones. And I know some people will say, well, Sean Connery was played Indy Star. Yeah, that story worked. That's where, look, this is my opinion on this, right? Indiana Jones franchise should have stopped at The Last Crusade. The Last Crusade was a perfect way to finish this franchise, actually. It was the perfect way, to go riding into the sunset. It was perfect, right? But it's typical bleeding Hollywood. We're struggling now. Let's see what's in our archives. What can we do? You know what? Indiana Jones was popular. Maybe we should fuck that one up next. What will we do after that? I know. Let's do Jurassic Park next as well and fuck that one up as well. I'm sick of it. Leave it alone, right? Indiana Jones had its time, right? If you want to introduce it to a brand new audience, then do controversial again. Do a proper remake. But I know fans wouldn't be down for a remake because it wouldn't have the heart or the soul of the four. But you don't continue this no. No, what was your very first Who story? That's an easy one. It was Pyramids of Mars. Pyramids of Mars. When I was a kid, Pyramids of Mars. And my family will tell you this. Ever since that episode, I've had a huge fascination with Egyptology and anything to do with Egypt and mummies and the pyramids. Actually, my mother and father have actually went to the pyramids about bleeding 5 or 6 times now. They actually always go over there. They've actually done the Nile cruise as well. So they've gone over to actually see the pyramids themselves and the Sphinx. But yeah, I've even grown up as a kid. My mum used to get the plaster Paris, and you get these molds of Tutankhamun, and you'd mix it all up, and then you'd have to paint them. I used to do a lot of that stuff as well. So, Pyramids of Mars, one of my favorite stories. It's up there for me personally because it was the first story that I seen. Of course, Genesis is another one that really had a huge impact on me as a kid as well. So yeah, Pyramids of Mars. I ordered the new 4K steelbook for Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, that will look absolutely amazing. Has Harrison Ford done any film in the last 10 years without being taken to hospital during recording? No, that's the thing. That's the thing. And look, uh, see, here's the thing. They brought him back for Han Solo for Star Wars, but his one stipulation was is that he was killed off. And he was killed off. I've just got a horrible feeling that they're only doing this movie to kill him off because he wants to be killed off. And that would really no. I'm sorry. For me, there's only three Indiana Jones movies. So the other two, unless Indiana Jones 5 is actually decent, right now there's only a trilogy as far as I'm concerned. Noel, are you a fan of the Mummy trilogy films with Rachel? Listen. I'm loving you all right now because you are naming all these franchises. Listen, I am a huge fan of Brendan Fraser, right? And obviously, as you know, he's disappeared. He disappeared from Hollywood for a while, and then we found out it was because he was abused sexually by someone within Hollywood and stuff like that. And now he's making a comeback. Listen, I love Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser was a big part of my childhood growing up. Films like Blast from the Past, which I only recently watched, believe it or not. He's a great actor. I love that Mummy trilogy. Um, Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and say, did they get better after every movie? I would say no to a certain extent, but they were still very good. Um, but I am a huge fan of Brendan Fraser, and I can't wait to see his new projects that he's doing. I really can't. It's been a long time coming, and if anybody deserves a bloody comeback, it's him. And I hope he gets a proper comeback. And you know what? There's been talks of maybe them reviving the Mummy again. You know, if he gets himself into shape, maybe, and you know, I would love to see him back. Even do another Mummy movie, the original, not the Tom Cruise fucking shite by Kurtzman. Let's see. Do you think that Doctor Who might lack creativity going forward because they have been so many ideas and story arcs that have been done? The possibility of rehashing old stuff might be what happens. Um, well, if you think about it, I mean, it's done pretty well to stay fresh after all this time, and that's why I do believe that this current new era that's coming up. Remember, as I said, the key word was from Wenger, uh, new generation of Doctor Who, right? So, which means they're doing something completely different with it. So, I think it will be fresh. Um, but you do have a point. Eventually, these things will become. But I think Doctor Who has done well. Yeah, I love Brendan. Love him, Brendan Fraser. I have to say, before his career did end or he disappeared, he did make some howlers, which I still think were funny because he's funny. That one with the animals, what was it, Over the Hedge or whatever it was called? It was the stupidest thing. He was a real estate uh, dealer, I think he was, and all of these animals or something band together to take him down. Good, Douglas. Douglas, I'm glad to see him back. He's currently in Doom Patrol. I didn't even know that, man. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check out Doom Patrol. What is Doom Patrol? And listen, I'm not down with every fucking franchise, so please don't have a go at me because I don't know what Doom Patrol is, but I'm googling it now. At least I'm honest. I don't bullshit about knowing what these things are. Um, oh, it's a comedy drama, right? So what's the overview? What's it say? What's it about? Likely, okay, it's kind of like a superhero thing. Right, I'll check that out. That's something that looks appealing. I'll give it a go. I like Brendan Fraser, as I said. Um, Fury Vengeance, that's the one, not Over the Hedge. I think that was the anime, mate. It's a fucking thing. I always get those confused. Yeah, Fury Vengeance. It was an awful movie, but Brendan Fraser was funny in it. But that's when I knew his career was kind of something was gone wrong. Something went wrong, and then he disappeared for a while, and then finally he had the courage to speak up. Look, even in the movie, you could tell he's one of these nice guys. He just wanted to make movies. And when he did that interview with your woman online, and she was telling him how much he meant to people, you could see it in his face. I mean, he was so humbled. He appreciated so much, and I don't think there's an actor or actress out there who people are willing on to succeed right now and to be that big mega star again. Because be under no illusion, his star was on the rise, and that's why he got that from the Mummy franchise. His star was on the rise, but it soured very quickly, which it's never set with me. It's never set with me. So I'm glad he's back. Is it true as well? I actually heard he might be doing a thing with Quentin Tarantino. Now, I know there's not many. I've seen over the years that a lot of people are not fans of Quentin Tarantino, which kind of baffles me a little bit. But I can understand we all have different. We all have different movie tastes and different movie genres and stuff like that. And directors like Quentin, they have their own unique style and stuff. But yeah, if that's true, or is it Scorsese he's working with? I think it's Scorsese. It might be Scorsese, but if he's working with a director like that, it won't be long before he's leading movies again. I loved Looney Tunes back in the day. Action, one of my favorite films as a kid. Yeah, I remember that movie. Vaguely now, I have to admit, but I do remember. Doom Patrol is based on DC Comics superhero team. The show is on HBO Max. Here's the thing, though. Can you explain to me, right? So it's DC Comics. So why don't we hear YouTubers and streamers out there? If this show is good, why don't we ever hear anything positive about some of the DC shows that are actually good? Why do they always focus on the negative ones? Why can't they? Because if you were to listen to everybody out there, you'd think Hollywood was getting everything wrong. Look, I'm not going to sit here and defend Hollywood and say that Hollywood is perfect. It's not. It's making some shite, and it's making a lot of shite. But within all of that crap, there's some decent stuff being made. I mean, I watched a TV show recently called From Season 1. If you haven't seen it, absolutely fantastic. It's done by MGM, and it's brilliant. I recently finished watching Chucky. Brilliant, right? Now you don't hear them talking about that either, but I wouldn't want them to talk about that actually because they'd start banging on about the diversity in this and the same sex relationships and all that happen in this show and stuff like that. Even though it's done properly, it's written properly, and it's done with respect, they'd still find some fault with it. But Chucky is great. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And that was on the Sci-Fi Channel. Do you know what, man? Oh, you've just made an interesting comment there, Kev. Could you imagine RTD, Doctor Who, goes to Brendan Fraser? I'd love you to play a villain or a bad guy in Doctor Who. Would you be up for it? Oh my God, I would. That would be my dream, dream guest star, Brendan Fraser on Doctor Who. I would love to see it. I know it'll never happen, but I would love to see that. I tell you, seriously, man, I'd drop everything, man, just to watch that. Um, Quantum Leap is going to get shafted. Oh, don't talk to me about the new Quantum Leap. Jesus Christ. And you know, I wouldn't even mind. It's funny you bring that up. I was actually watching a couple of the old episodes on TV there the other day because they were on the TV. And by God, I forgot how great that show actually was. Now I heard they're getting this, it's getting this reboot, and Scott Beluga is not going to be even part of it. And like, I was like, well, then I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. And anyway, the guy that played Al has passed away as well, so I don't want to see it. And they'll probably, you know, they'll do something with that show. They won't make it the way it's supposed to be made anyway. So I'm not too keen on certain remakes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to remakes because some remakes that they have brought out uh, over the years have actually been good. And they can be good if they're well written, well directed, characters are built up. But there are in some cases where it's just pure laziness and it's awful and they don't last. So yeah, Sam's not getting a look in. I don't want to no, and Al is not going to be there anyway because the actor passed away, didn't he? So I don't see the point. I don't see the point. I think it's kind of shitting on their legacy a little bit. Like if they were playing different characters, then maybe a Quantum Leap show could work. If it was different characters and not the original characters, I don't know if they are doing the original characters, so I can't say it because I haven't seen much about it. So I will leave it there with that. But if anybody has any more questions, we got about 12 minutes to go. We'll go for 2 hours, so we got 12 minutes to go. So if there's anybody that wants to ask me any more questions, fire away, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. So yeah, if there's any more questions, get them in. Do us a favor though, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you to the two lads for the super chats. I really do appreciate that as well. So if there's any more questions, as I said, we've got about 12 minutes left. The Prisoner remake from 2009 was atrocious, says Sally. Yeah, as I said, Sally, they don't always get remakes right, but when they do, you know. But I do hate this narrative that Hollywood is creatively bankrupt. It's not. There are still some good writers out there, good producers, and good showrunners that are. But unfortunately, the negativity seems to take over everything nowadays, unfortunately. I think people have lost their objectivity when it comes to certain shows. I'd even say, you know, people are giving out about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air remake. Well, I've watched it and I grew up watching the original. Um, and I have to say, I'm enjoying the remake. It's a different take on it. It's not supposed to be like the original, but it's a lot grittier. It's a lot more, you know, in your face. But it's done well. It's not done to score points, you know. But if you listen to certain people out there, it's woke rubbish and all of this, and that's just not true. It's not true. Why do you not like the Colin Baker era? Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Why do I not like the Colin Baker era? Well, right. Earlier on, I told you my first episode was that I ever watched was Pyramids of Mars, right? But obviously, my first Doctor was Peter Davison that I can remember. So, if you think about it, I went from Peter Davison to Colin Baker. Two completely contrasting doctors. And then the first scene with Colin Baker's doctor is choking the life out of his companion. As a kid, that traumatized me. But I always found Colin Baker to be arrogant, and I found that arrogance crept into his doctor and into his performances. So that's what, and considering that I don't look like he had maybe one or two good stories, and I just didn't enjoy his era. I didn't like the writing. If I was old enough back then, I would be considered not my doctor back then. Let's just say, um, yeah. But I just found his doctor arrogant, and I just couldn't warm to his doctor. I couldn't. It's just one of those doctors I just couldn't get emotionally attached to, like the rest. What was your first Doctor Who merch? Oh, oh, that's a bit of a. Uh, do you know what? It might have been. See, I can't really pinpoint, but it might have been a TARDIS. Yeah, I think it might have been a TARDIS. I have a thing for TARDISes, believe it or not. I love me TARDISes. I think my first piece of merch might have been a TARDIS. And I had a couple of posters as well, if that's classed as merch. Well, it is classed as merch. Had a few posters as well. So yeah. So yeah, I think that's what it was, yeah. It's gone back a long time now, I have to say. But I still have my original 2005 box set, season one of Christopher Eccleston, the proper TARDIS, not the flat box design, but the proper TARDIS design, and you open it up and it's got the coral and stuff like the inside of Eccleston's TARDIS. Uh, very nice. I I put it on camera every so often. So the next time I'm on camera and I'm live, I'll give you a look at it again and show you. Um, but yeah, that's still my most valued. Because as I said, the point of the life that I had, and the way I was feeling, so that's precious to me. So I still have it, and it's still in pretty good condition considering. It's I got it at the end of 2005. Yeah, that's the one. It's the one that sticks out on the fucking shelf. Exactly. Man, it's awkward because I have all the box sets, right? And then I have that first box set, and then I have all the other ones that are the flat ones, and it just looks out of place. It does. It just looks out of place. So we got about 6 minutes to go. So if there's any more questions, just keep shooting them at me, and I'll answer them as honestly as I can. I'm getting a bit tired now, so well, it is 24. It is 23 minutes past 4 in the morning here. So I did say it was going to be a late night stream, didn't I? But there you go. I'm all about keeping you all happy. That's it. That's it. So yeah, if there's anything else you would like to ask me, it doesn't have to be Doctor Who related. So don't be shy. How big are your feet? Oh, I'm a size 9. I'm a size 9. There you go. Bit of a weird question, but I said I would answer it. 9. Size 9. Size 9. What is your least favorite Doctor Who episode? What era? Classic or New Who era? Or would you like me to give you one of each? I'll give you one of each. If it's classic Who, it's Trial of a Time Lord. If it's new Who, it's, let me see. If it's new Who, oh, well, if it's new Who, it's the whole of the Whittaker era. I don't just have one. I don't like any of the episodes at all. But I'll be fair. We'll exclude the Chibnall era, and I will give you one from between RTD and the Moffat eras. So if that's the case, the worst episode between those two, in my opinion, would be Hellbent, the second episode, Heaven Sent. I thought that was an absolute travesty of an episode. Hey Noel, I've just arrived at the nursing home and will see my mother for the first time in ages as she locked down. Sorry, must leave the chat now. No problem, Ian Peter Davison. Send your mum our best wishes. And yeah, go on, get yourself off and spend some time with your mammy. And we'll see you during the week, pal. Top three of all New Who doctors, including Madame. Oh, you want me to give me top three favorite doctors? Right. Well, that's kind of easy because the Holy Trinity for me is um, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, and Peter Capaldi. Who's your favorite professional wrestler? Oh, well, I used to watch well, it was called WWF when I was growing up. But I have to say, I was a huge fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock as well. I love The Rock. But I did have a soft spot back in the day for the Hardy brothers. They were a tag team duo. I don't know if they're still wrestling actually, but I used to love them. And Triple H, and actually that whole era with Triple H, The Rock, and all of the others going at it. That was a pretty good time for wrestling, I think. For that franchise. I don't watch it now, unfortunately. I've watched a few clips and it just looks ridiculous now. In my opinion, it doesn't look the same as it did back then. Maybe it's because I was a kid and it looked more real, but it just looks absolutely rubbish now. But I won't knock anybody that's still into wrestling because I know it does bring a lot of joy to people. No, top three stories for each doctor. Right, starting from who? See, if I was to do that, I'm going to be here all night. If I have to go through from William Hartnell all the way up. Do you think the 60th special will do Capaldi's Doctor Son justice? Well, if he's coming back, if it's guaranteed that he's coming back, I think RTD will do his Doctor justice, and I think Moffat did do his Doctor justice though. I just think some of some of the scripts that he got were bad, but he was a great Doctor. Patrick wants to know how you doing. I'm doing fine, mate. I hope you're doing well. Peter won't come back. He told Big Finish where to go. I don't do basements. Yeah, well, but that was for Big Finish. Big Finish is different to the main show. It all depends how hurt he still is. I mean, look at Christopher Eccleston. He still can't get over the fact of what happened to him back in the day, and he's still bitching. And I've actually even said it, because the article was brought up again about him saying about multi-doctor specials, and if you wanted me back, you'd have to get me back only. Well, the show doesn't know you aren't. So if you're not willing to come back with the other doctors, I don't want you to come back at all. Don't be so selfish. You share the screen with the other lads or you don't share the screen at all. Simple as that. That's where I stand on that. The Hardy Boys are in AEW. Oh, they're not in WWE anymore. Holy shit, man. See, it just goes to show you how long ago it was. I watched Bleeding Wrestling. Anyway, we've hit the 2 hour mark, but we've gone over the 2 hour mark. So Patrick's just arrived in, I think. So you might have to go back and watch the stream again, mate. But thank you all for dropping in. Thanks for all the super chats. I really do appreciate it. And again, want to wish the legend that is the Scottish Davros a happy birthday. It's his birthday today. So if you all see him around later on, don't forget to shoot him a happy birthday, won't you? Not. And if you follow him on his Facebook pages, go and throw him in a happy birthday there. Um, because he's been one of the very first supporters I actually had on this channel. So yeah, wish him a happy birthday. And it was Lee's birthday as well. Uh, so throw him a belated happy birthday as well. I had a blast tonight, everyone. Night, night, Noel, and all the gang. No problem. Rachel says good night as well. Listen, thank you all for joining me. Ezra saying good night, and we got Douglas there saying good night. Listen, thank you. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate the support, and I'll see. Hopefully, I'll be able to squeeze another stream in for you tomorrow, I hope. As I said, we do have a couple of visitors coming tomorrow. So as soon as that's over and stuff like that, and we get a bit of work done in the apartment, hopefully then I'll be able to do another stream for you tomorrow. So until then, I say good night, stay safe, or good morning in some cases. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. See you soon. Where the fuck? See, I'm getting tired now. You see, I'm repeating myself. So we'll leave it there. I'll leave you with the trailers. Good night, folks. Have a good one. Thanks for popping in and supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. And as I said, if you haven't subscribed already and you've checked out this channel for the first time, please give us a subscribe there and like and share and tell everybody about the channel as well if you can. Get a bit of promotion out there. And I want to thank everybody that has been shouting out the channel because, as I said, we've gained some new followers and new subscribers, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it's nice to see them become part of this community. So, good night, folks. See you soon. Night, night.